A Stoic woman is not quick to judge, but she is far from naive. She doesn't fall for sweet words or empty promises. No, she watches. She listens. She measures a person by their actions. And if something feels off, she doesn't ignore it. She trusts her gut. She doesn't let emotions cloud her judgment or wishful thinking lead her astray. Because she knows one thing for certain: love is not meant to be a source of suffering. Love, to her, is a sanctuary. It should bring peace, not turmoil. Safety, not anxiety. Stability, not endless confusion. She knows what she deserves, and she refuses to settle for anything less. A relationship should never be a battlefield of doubt and distress. If she finds herself constantly questioning his feelings, analyzing his behavior, or convincing herself that things will get better someday, she knows she's already halfway out the door. Because a Stoic woman does not beg for clarity. Love should never be something she has to chase. 1. Mixed signals and lies. Words mean nothing without action. He says he cares, says he misses her, says she's important, but he cancels plans last minute, ignores her messages for hours, sometimes days, shows up when it's convenient, disappears when it's not. Then, when she pulls away, he suddenly becomes attentive again, just enough to keep her hanging on. A Stoic woman doesn't waste her time trying to decode mixed signals. She doesn't let herself get pulled into the push and pull game of inconsistency. If he wanted to be there, he would be. If he truly valued her, she wouldn't have to question it. Love shouldn't be a guessing game. If it is, she walks away, with her head held high, her dignity intact, and no regrets. 2. Disrespect. A real partner listens, respects, values her thoughts. She shares her dreams, her passions, the things that make her heart race, and he laughs, dismisses them, makes her feel silly, like she's dreaming too big. Maybe he interrupts her, speaks over her, or rolls his eyes when she expresses herself. A Stoic woman doesn't shrink in the face of disrespect. She knows that respect is the foundation of love. If he can't take her seriously, if he can't celebrate her ambitions, encourage her, lift her up, then he's not the man for her. Simple as that. She's not asking for permission to be herself. She needs a partner, not a critic. 3. Manipulation. Love is meant to be uplifting, not suffocating. He blames her for his bad moods, makes her feel guilty for setting boundaries, twists her words, turns the tables, makes her question herself. One moment he's affectionate, the next he's cold and distant. And somehow, she always ends up apologizing. A Stoic woman, she sees right through this. She doesn't get caught in the trap of guilt and obligation. She knows love should never feel like a constant battle to prove herself. If he's playing games, she's done playing. She won't waste her time in an emotional tug-of-war where she's always the one losing. 4. Never taking responsibility. A grown man owns his mistakes. He forgets her birthday, cancels an important date, makes a promise, and breaks it. But instead of apologizing, he says she's too sensitive or making a big deal out of nothing. Maybe he laughs it off, dismisses her feelings, or turns the blame on her. A Stoic woman doesn't fall for that nonsense. Accountability is non-negotiable. A man who truly values her will recognize when he's wrong, take responsibility, and make it right. If he refuses, she won't argue. She won't beg. She'll simply realize he's not ready for the kind of love she deserves. 5. Jealousy and control. Love should feel like freedom, not a cage. He constantly asks where she is, who she's with, gets upset when she talks to male friends, needs proof of her loyalty, as if love is something to be constantly tested. Maybe he makes snide remarks about her clothing, criticizes the way she carries herself, or tries to isolate her from her support system. A Stoic woman knows better. Love isn't about ownership. It's about trust. A relationship built on paranoia and control is a relationship doomed to fail. She values her independence, and she won't stay with someone who tries to clip her wings. She won't apologize for having a life outside of him. 6. Breaking promises. A reliable person keeps their word. He says, "I'll introduce you to my family." Says, "We'll go on that trip together." Says, "I promise, next time will be different." But somehow, next time never comes. Maybe he makes excuses. Maybe he expects her to understand. Maybe he thinks she won't notice. A Stoic woman doesn't have time for excuses. Actions speak louder than words, and if someone keeps failing to follow through, she believes them. She believes their inconsistency, their lack of effort, and she doesn't stick around, hoping for change that will never come. She knows broken promises are just another way of saying, "I don't respect you enough to keep my word." 7. Hiding things. Trust is everything. His phone is always face down. His stories don't add up. He avoids direct questions, keeps secrets, gets defensive when she asks for honesty. Maybe he accuses her of being paranoid or crazy just for wanting transparency. A Stoic woman? She doesn't waste time playing detective. If trust is missing, so is she. She refuses to build a relationship on half-truths and suspicion. If she can't trust him, she won't love him. Because love without trust is nothing but an illusion. A Stoic woman knows her worth. She doesn't beg for love, doesn't lower her standards just to keep someone around. She stands firm in her expectations, unapologetic in her strength. She's not looking for someone to complete her. She's already whole. She doesn't need a savior. She doesn't need validation. And she refuses to settle for anything less than a love that meets her where she stands, not one that demands she kneel. Because a Stoic woman knows one thing above all: she would rather walk alone in self-respect than walk beside someone who makes her feel alone in love.